But who was he and which county did he hail from? Find out in just a moment. Today I'm helping a technically minded couple to abandon the hurly-burly of the commuter belt and take a logical approach to house hunting. So how are we doing on your spreadsheet?
It's got to be a 20.
Jean? With a very specific wish list. Quite a lot of land. Is it going to be enough for you?
Yes.
Good.
Of course it is.
Jackpot. This is the home of Shropshire agricultural worker Thomas Parr, who came to fame in the reign of Charles I because of his excessively long life. The legend has it that he lived through the reign of 10 monarchs, and he got married twice, once at the age of 80 and then again at the venerable age of 122. But it was aged 152 that the king invited him down to London, and that's what did it for poor Thomas. It's said in 1635 he died of the pollution of the city and the lavish London lifestyle. But the king had his body buried in Westminster Abbey, where it remains to this day, but I'm sure that his heart remains here in Shropshire. Landlocked Shropshire is sandwiched between Wales to the west and Staffordshire to the east. The Shropshire Hills have been a designated area of natural beauty since 1958, covering a quarter of the county. The ancient Longmynd alone has 500 acres of moorland with 30 miles of footpaths from which to enjoy this natural splendour. The borderlands of England and Wales, an area known as the Welsh Marches, is where you'll find one of the largest concentrations of castles in the UK, typified by strongholds such as Clun and Ludlow. As well as a castle, Ludlow in the south of the county also boasts some of the finest historical architecture of any town in England, with over 400 listed buildings. With such a rich architectural and cultural heritage, it's easy to see what makes Shropshire so appealing. Let's talk about property prices in Shropshire. The average price for a detached house here is £237,000, which is good news because it's £17,000 less than the national figure. But there is a bit of a north-south divide going on in the county. Down in the south around historic Ludlow and in the well-connected but rural areas around Much Wenlock, there's a premium on property. In the north, in the countryside residences around Shrewsbury and Oswestry, you get much more for your money. But it's the beautiful rural countryside across the county that is drawing our buyers today, so let's meet them. For 15 years, John and Pauline have lived on a housing estate in Charville on the outskirts of Reading, Berkshire, but feel that now is the time to address their life-work imbalance and swap the red brick views for the rolling Shropshire countryside.
At the moment, as you can see, we look out on houses, and I'd really like to look out on hills and fields. Now's a good time for us to move to the country because Pauline is semi-retired, so she doesn't have to be based in this area anymore, and my work allows me to really work wherever I want in England.
Despite being semi-retired, Pauline has one eye on a brand new venture that coincides with their move.
So now what I'd like to do is to set up a chocolate making business. This move would enable me to have the space to be able to make larger batches. Although my kitchen has got a huge island in the middle of it and it's lovely, there's not enough room to make those quantities of chocolate.
So where is the perfect location for Pauline's chocolate factory?
Probably south of Shrewsbury, taking in Ludlow and some of those other lovely little market towns like Church Stretton, Much Wenlock.
The countryside is so beautiful, lovely green rolling hills.
A vital element to achieving a better work-life balance is space in the new house to accommodate healthier pursuits.
Our new house ideally will have a separate room where I can have a gym.
Although we do yoga together at home, it's very cramped and there isn't enough space.
Keep bumping into each other, don't we?
Yes.
All that's left to discover is the finances for their Shropshire sanctuary.
Our budget for the move is £700,000, but that's absolute maximum, and that would have to include the setting up of our chocolate business and the outbuilding required, the renovation of that.
John and Pauline would like us to concentrate our house search in the south of the county, around the market town of Ludlow. I met up with them to discover more about what they're looking for and to learn how a spreadsheet is helping them choose their ideal property. Welcome to Shropshire, you two. So we've got lots of lovely houses lined up for you, but I wanted to talk a bit about what sort of property you want. I know you want a big kitchen, but you also want a sort of chocolate factory.
I want to have a separate building to make chocolates, yeah, to create a chocolate business.
What about you, John? Do you have requirements?
Yeah, I mean, our house at the moment, we've really just got one main room downstairs which has got the television in and my hi-fi, and ideally what I'd like is, you know, a separate room that I could put the hi-fi in.
It seems that the land is quite important in terms of like getting an outbuilding or getting something.
And growing. I grow all of my food and fruit, and I want to incorporate those into the chocolate fillings.
Well, you have your trusty tablet, so is the spreadsheet on this little thing?
It is, yes. I created a score for each really important factor in the house. Well, I'm an accountant, so
I see.
and I can allocate points to money.
All right. So we're going to do Escape to the Country in a scientifically thorough manner.
Sort of, but it might come down to gut feel in the end, who knows?
So the heart might win out over the spreadsheet.
Yes.
Good. We've got three lovely houses. They are quite spread out because, as I said, because of the land, we've gone a bit further afield. There are some where you wanted and some further afield. So we're going to do a bit of driving. So come with me to the car. For a budget of £700,000, John and Pauline are looking for 4 bedrooms, a large kitchen, a room to use as a gym, an outbuilding or annex for Pauline to set up a chocolate factory, land to accommodate an orchard and vegetable garden, all ideally located near to the foodies' paradise of Ludlow in South Shropshire. We have a variety of properties to serve up, and at each one I'll be asking them to guess the price before I reveal it. One, of course, is the mystery house that might not be right for them on paper, but might just set their pulses racing nonetheless. But before all that, first on the list is house number 1. How did you get into the chocolate making business?
I used to make chocolates every Christmas for my team, and then other people wanted them, so I started making them for all the people in my offices, and I'd end up making sort of 500 batches of 500 chocolates at a time.
And people in my offices.
And people in John's offices for his team. And
It wasn't always just free, you were doing it
no,
for...
it's all been free. I've never sold them. No, I've always given them away as presents.
But it's since you've retired that you're thinking of making it into a business, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Great. So this is a really big change for you.
It is, yeah.
We start our property search in the hamlet of Seafton, a short distance away from the market town of Ludlow. Described as the gastronomic heart of Shropshire, historic 11th century Ludlow is renowned for its locally produced food and drink, with bakers, delicatessens, cheese shops and butchers amongst the varied array of independent food stores, as well as its traditional open-air market. Our first house is 15 minutes north of the town, a 4-bedroom modern conversion set in just under an acre of land that retains bags of period features. Here we are, house number 1. What do you think?
I like it, yeah.
Big smiles as we're coming up the drive.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see there's a whole sequence of houses here. They're all part of a larger estate that was from the sort of 16th century. But actually it was completely rebuilt in 1999. But the great thing about this, and this is really the reason we bought you, is that we're just 6 miles from Ludlow.
Yes, very close.
No, it's a beautiful area, so yeah, it's a fantastic location.
Another reason we bought you here is because of this.
Yes.
So this is the outbuilding. And I wanted us just to have a little peek in here before we look in the main house, just to see if we're on the right tracks.
Okay.
Come on, then. We're bang on with the location, but it's the outbuilding that needs to deliver the required space if the house is to be a contender. So, this is a big double garage with electricity and water.
Yes.
Very good.
Excellent.
And it's all boarded upstairs. But is this going to be big enough for your chocolate factory?
Absolutely, yes. Yes,
Good.
I think so,
Yes.
It's a lot more space than you've got at the moment, isn't
Yeah,
it?
so it's bigger than my kitchen. So it's slightly bigger than my kitchen, but it's squarer.
So how are we doing on your spreadsheet?
Oh, well, I'll fill
Location's
that
got
in.
to be good.
Oh,
What do we
yes.
score on location?
Let's see, because it's so close to Ludlow, it's got to be a 20. And views,
Oh,
that's...
I'd hang on for the views.
All right,
We haven't
okay.
quite seen all the views. Let's
No,
continue
all
in the
right.
house tour. That's 2 major factors satisfied. Let's hope it continues as we head inside. Into the kitchen, because this is obviously the heart of the home.
Oh my word. This is lovely.
It is.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's a nice big size, isn't it?
How does it compare on your sort of kitchen scale?
I mean, we were looking for a big kitchen, nicely done out, and that is absolutely this kitchen, isn't it? Yeah, no, it works really well.
You have
Yeah.
a nice boot room there, so then you come from your walks, and through
Shops.
here is this kind of utility space
Oh, fabulous.
for your white goods.
Okay,
Yeah, good.
I don't think you'd be spending much time in your kitchen because you've got this room. In terms of living space, I'm confident the next room will knock their socks off. This is
Oh,
the
wow.
room.
Yeah. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Nice, what a view.
This is an amazing green oak orangery that they put on just a few years ago, a couple of years ago. What do you think?
I think it's absolutely amazing.
I think it's stunning. So it just brings the garden into the house, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
And we've got a very beautiful sort of sitting room here and a little study. You can explore that later on.
I don't have a category for this.
I say you don't. You didn't do a category on your spreadsheet for orangery.
I didn't, no, or conservatory or anything.
But does it get 20 out of 20?
Oh, yeah.
I can't see how you can give it less than 20.
No.
Oh, so top marks for downstairs.
Yes.
More than top marks, if that's possible. But let's look upstairs.
Okay.
A dining room completes the downstairs, and it's all going swimmingly well. So fingers crossed the bedrooms meet the spreadsheet's approval. There are 2 staircases and 2 sets of bedrooms in this house. This is the master bedroom.
Right.
Yeah.
And very nice wet room ensuite.
That's lovely, isn't it?
That's very nicely done.
Because you've actually got a big modern bathroom next door, which is a sort of family bathroom, but could also be a bathtub. What do you think to the aspect of the bedroom?
It's a lot smaller than our current bedroom.
I mean, it is a smaller room, but it's a nice room. And it feels, again, light and airy.
Okay, so I'll let you explore all around, because there's actually lots of rooms we haven't seen.
Thank you.
But let's go into the garden and guess the price. There are 3 more bedrooms, one also with an ensuite, all complete with character beams. It seems the house has delivered more positives than negatives, but it remains to be seen if less than an acre of land is enough for Pauline's allotment. As I mentioned, close to Ludlow, it's difficult to get a property with all the land you wanted. You wanted 1 to 2 acres, which is a lot of land.
It's a lot of land, but I wanted to create an orchard and have more fruit for the fillings for my chocolates. So I think
Yeah.
it'd be a bit of a stretch with the size of the land.
Have you filled in all the things?
I
now?
have.
So what does the figure come out at? Because it also tells you how much it's going to be worth, no?
Yeah, my estimate of it.
So here we go. What is your estimate of the property price?
It thinks 695,000.
John, do you agree with that statistically balanced figure?
You know, speaking with my heart rather than my head, I think it's got to be at the top end of our budget. Maybe 710 or something like that.
So the heart says 710 and the head with the spreadsheet says 695. We might need to do some recalibration because this is on the market for £565,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
That's
Iceland.
amazing.
That's fantastic news.
Yeah.
So why don't you go back in and have a wander? It is perfectly located and includes 4 bedrooms, 2 with ensuite, a kitchen breakfast room, separate dining room, a stunning orangery, a double garage, a possible venue for the chocolate factory, along with wonderful views of the glorious Shropshire countryside.
The extension that they've put on is wonderful. It would just, I think, be a really lovely room to relax in. An absolutely fantastic house, and one I could certainly envisage myself living in.
The outbuilding's brilliant. It's a lovely size for the
Advantage of the burgeoning interest in locally made products.
So we're very interested. What gave you the idea to start your business?
Well, I think it really started off as a hobby. I naturally started making preserves just in my early 20s. My parents had.
Sarah Jane's ethos is to reintroduce long-forgotten recipes using heritage orchard fruits and the bounty from the hedgerows and her pesticide-free kitchen garden.
What we're going to make today then is a rhubarb curd. I mean, rhubarb this time of year can make really pretty jams, but I thought it might be interesting to show you a different product that you can make, and maybe you could use for your fillings in your chocolates as well. Yeah. Okay, so first things first is you need to chop the rhubarb. If you want to have that.
Shall I do that?
Okay, yeah.
Once the rhubarb is cut into slices, it goes into a pan to stew along with butter, sugar and vanilla extract. Next it's time to separate the eggs, courtesy of Sarah Jane's own Rhode Island red chickens.
So I've given John all the difficult stuff.
Yeah, the messy bits as well.
So
Yeah.
the things that might go wrong. Presumably you've got some of your recipes from old books and things. Where have you got them from?
Well, actually, my great-grandmother's been quite an influence on me. She was a cook, and she used to cook at New Cross Hospital in Wolverhampton, and equally a wartime cook. So my nan has often talked about things like marrow and ginger jam and carrot and cardamom and all those things that they would have made in the war as sort of mock jams. And then you've got sort of the Victorian era when sugar became cheaper and glass was more commercially made. So housewives had great interest in filling their cupboards and in preserves, and they took pride in it, and then we sort of have lost a bit of that tradition. So I think the fashion now has come back to finding more in the old ways.
2 whole eggs are mixed with 2 yolks until totally blended, then whisked into the rhubarb mix over a bain-marie. Once thick and creamy, it's into the jars and off to market. Since the recession, there's been a resurgence in people using their own allotments and making their own produce, with consumers lapping up these handmade products. John and Pauline seem quite at home at the markets, but first we need to find them their dream home, so it's time to continue our property search. For our second property we're going further afield, travelling east to the very edge of the county, close to the village of Albrighton, around an hour away from their desired location of Ludlow. The charming village of Albrighton, with a sprinkling of half-timbered inns and Georgian facades, serves the community with its independent stores, catering for basic everyday needs. House number 2 is a very spacious 5-bedroom farmhouse conversion, sitting 3 miles out of the village in the East Shropshire countryside. House number 2, quite a different offering for you. And I've brought you into the back because it's easier to see the layout of the property.
Yes.
Because we're part of the Patzel estate. Actually, this is where the woodworker lived, and it was all converted back in the sort of late 90s. What are your first impressions though? Because it is very different from the last property.
Oh, it is. It's very different. I'd be very interested to see what it's like inside.
So how does it rate in your system in terms of location?
I'd say on balance, location probably not as good as the first house.
Well, the layout of the house is quite unusual. As you can see, it's all in a sort of horseshoe. I think you'd be surprised there's a lot more space. As anticipated, the location doesn't score well, as we're quite away from Ludlow. But this property does have a lot of plus points that should rate highly on the spreadsheet. Straight into the kitchen.
That's a tall kitchen, isn't it?
It's tall, isn't it? Yes, you've got the whole height of the building right up to the rafters.
Yes.
How do you rate it?
Size, it's maximum for size, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this is a lovely kitchen. So,
7 or 8?
I was going to say 8, but yeah, 7 or 8, something like that. Yeah.
Accessed via the kitchen is extra living space, courtesy of a glass conservatory extension. Come on through into the Sitting room, another spectacularly large room.
It's huge.
And you see this gigantic fireplace.
That's
A
lovely.
proper Inglenook.
It's a lovely room, but perhaps not quite so much my style, I'd say. But you may feel different.
Yeah, I actually like the size more than the other one.
So how do you work that in the scoring system?
I don't know.
Do you have to split the difference?
I don't know. We'll come to a compromise.
I think we'll just go with what Pauline wants. That's my recipe for a happy marriage.
Adjacent to the sitting room lies the dining room, above which is a galleried study area and an additional bedroom with shower room. Onwards to the master bedroom, and I'm confident they won't be quibbling over size here. Now,
Wow. So
here we have a master bedroom that hopefully will fit the bill.
absolutely.
This is a master bedroom, isn't it?
It's a master bedroom!
Yeah, a power bedroom.
Yeah. It's nice because you have the kind of the half moon, semi-lune windows and then the amazing high ceilings. And a very nice shower ensuite through there.
It's different to the other one, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's fine.
But again, big, isn't it?
Yeah.
But one of the things that really brought us here for you is on the other side of the house. Come with me. There are two further bedrooms on the ground floor served by a well-equipped family bathroom, including a double-ended bath. Through the kitchen is an annex, which will hopefully satisfy two of their major requirements. So a gigantic games room. We thought this could also be your chocolate factory.
Yeah.
Because upstairs, there's the same sort of size with a shower and bathroom at the end.
So it could be a gym.
So that could be a gym yoga room.
All right.
But essentially this is the same as the garage, but it's all finished and 3 times as big.
Or we could just forget the chocolate making and we'll just have it as a pool room and cinema and stuff like that, and we'll just relax for the next few years.
Yeah, perhaps.
Perhaps. I think that perhaps actually in brackets means no.
I think that's
Those brackets.
I know what perhaps means when Pauline says perhaps to me.
The games room come chocolate factory gets a massive plus point, but I'm not convinced they're totally sold on this property yet. The outside space comprises part-walled garden with paved terrace and lawn. However, the drawback is there is no additional land for Pauline's market garden. How much do you think it's on the market for, or rather how much does the computer think it's on the market for?
So the computer says 550,000.
Okay, but you're not agreeing with the computer?
Well, that's a valuation, but in terms of usefulness to us, I'm sticking with my 550,000.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm going to go higher than that, and I'll go to 625.
625. Well, maybe it needs a bit more calibration, because in this instance it's wrong again, but in the other direction. This property is actually on the market for, brace yourself, 695.
Oh, right at the top of our budget.
Yeah.
In value, it didn't score highly because it didn't have. We weren't buying land.
Why don't you have a look around, because there's actually a lot more of the house that you haven't seen, and then we will come and convene and take a break for the day, because we've seen 2 big houses and lots to think about.
Yeah.
Yes, thank
So
you.
head back in and have a peek around upstairs. Oh, so confusing. I mean, the spreadsheet's quite confusing, but actually these are 2 very different properties, different parts of Shropshire, offering very different things. Some things that they don't offer, no land here. We're continuing our house search in Shropshire with John and Pauline from the Reading area, who have £700,000 to spend on a rural home. Coming up, our mystery house hits the spot.
Oh, wow.
Kaboom! It's like kitchen wars, and this one wins because it's the biggest. And I pay a visit to a film set. Day 2, and I don't know about you, but I am loving the mystery house. Sort of, probably a Victorian workers' cottage, extended every which way, as you can see.
Yes.
The present owner's put on this conservatory in the games room, and the owner before that put on a kitchen extension. Any thoughts about the location?
I really like the location. I mean, just driving up here, it's the countryside's great. I like it.
Yeah, it's lovely.
And you'll notice that there is quite a parcel of land with this property.
Alistair, why is this the mystery house? Is it still in Shropshire?
It is still in Shropshire, but in order to get you all this lovely land at a price you can afford, we don't have your chocolate factory yet.
Oh, right.
This could be something that you could build. Now the footings for that are still there, so you could build something just outside.
That's fine. So I could have the kitchen and you could be in your factory.
I could be in the other kitchen.
So how many do you, on your magic thing?
Oh, well, kitchen.
20 out of 20.
Yes, 20 out of 20. It can't possibly be. It can't possibly be any less than that.
Well, I'd be interested to see what the living space gives you. Follow me. And our third and final sitting room.
Lovely. Obviously got beams.
Has got
but
beams.
they're quite high up, aren't they? So not oppressive.
I like this room. It's actually quite cosy, isn't it? So, yeah.
And a lovely big wood burner, sort of giving some nice warm heat.
Yes.
Yes, it's brilliant.
And sweeping through into the conservatory. And of course this would be the view over your domain.
Yeah, I could certainly see us having breakfast and lunch in here.
Completing the ground floor is a study, a utility area and a second conservatory that can double as a gym. The downstairs is scoring highly, so let's hope this continues upstairs. This is the master bedroom. There are 5 bedrooms in this property, and actually 2 of them have en suites, so you could swap them round, but this is, I think, the biggest and the lightest.
Yes, it's lovely. Nice big square room.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the upstairs? How's that scoring?
I think it's scoring very well indeed.
That's good.
Absolutely.
And obviously the reason we bought here is because it's got lots of land, so let's go and look at that and think about the price. Of the 4 remaining bedrooms, 1 also has an ensuite. The others are served by a modern family bathroom. We could be onto a winner, as the upstairs seems to have hit the mark too. And with the house standing in nearly 3 acres of land, let's hope that that's enough for Pauline's market garden. Quite a lot of land. Is it going to be enough for you?
Yes.
Good.
Of course it is.
Jackpot. We've struggled a little bit with the pricing, according to your system.
Yes.
How does it score, percentage-wise, of your total points that you allocate to a property? How is this one scoring?
Well, this one scores the highest of all of the percentage points.
How much does it score, incidentally, percentage-wise?
It scores 90%.
Wow. So I'm wondering what your system thinks about the price for this house.
My estimate is that it would be about £690.
£690.
In terms of my estimate, I would say 675.
Well, it's getting better, but not quite right, because this property is on the market for £649.
Yes, but you like that one.
We're getting closer. You're getting much closer, much more accurate, and still overestimating, which is, which is good. What I'd like you to do is actually to go behind the house. You can sort of walk out the space for the chocolate factory.
Right.
And then have a wander upstairs as well, because there's some other places to go.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah. Nearly 3 acres of land, ideal for Pauline's fruit and veg garden.
I do spend a lot of my time in the kitchen, and this is everything you could possibly want for a kitchen. Overall, I'm very, very happy with the house, with the land, and with the potential for the chocolate factory. Very happy.
Finally got my land at the mystery house. I think the only drawback is that John had said that the first house was his preference, so obviously we need to talk about that.
Ah, here you are. Are you planning your orchard?
Yes.
We are.
Yes.
Well, I'm afraid We've served up 3 delightful properties for John and Pauline spread out across the county, but there is so much more to see if Shropshire is your ideal rural retreat. For a modest budget you can still achieve the ideal countryside location with 2-bedroom newer builds like this one in Church Stretton that come with plenty of character, oak features outside and in, on the market for £219,500. If you have a little more to spend and hanker after the total rural retreat, then how about this 3-bedroom detached cottage in the hamlet of Abden? With equestrian facilities and bags of charming features, it's on sale for £400,000. And should the lure of the gorgeous Shropshire countryside stretch your funds further, head for conservation areas like the hamlet of Norbury, where you'll find this larger 7-bedroom detached property on the market at £599,950. To the south of the county, in the rolling hills of Shropshire, lies an incredible family home that is a renovation project that would stretch even the biggest budget. The magnificent Victorian mansion of Stokesay Court, with its imposing Jacobean-style facade, hit the big screen as the location for a cinema smash hit. And I'm meeting the current owner, Caroline Magnus, who inherited the house that's been in her family since 1889, to find out more. Caroline, I am fascinated. I mean, the house is absolutely staggering, but I'm fascinated by this moment when the brown envelope hits your mat and you realise you've inherited an incredible stately home.
It contained a copy of a will and a complement. To have been in shock for about a week before I actually finally understood what was going on, but it took me at least 6 months, if not longer, to adjust.
Built in 1889 by John Darby Allcroft, a wealthy Victorian glove merchant, the house found its way to Caroline after her aunt, Darby Allcroft's granddaughter, sadly died.
I was absolutely ready to do something new. It just seemed the right time to make a move. And I also thought, if I don't try it, I'm going to spend the rest of my life regretting it and wondering if I could have managed to do it.
I'm wondering, how much work have you actually done here? Was it a ruin when you moved in, or?
The roof was completely rotten. We had to literally recover the entire structure. Well, I wonder if you'd like to come and see the rest of the house.
Oh, absolutely. Caroline expected her planned restorations to take decades. But fortuitously, the house was hired as a location for the Oscar and BAFTA-winning film Atonement, starring Keira Knightley, which gave the restoration a quick nudge in the right direction. Was the film a big turning point?
Yes, it really was. Before Atonement, this house was completely obscure and nobody had ever heard of it, really. The house appeared in the big screen and suddenly there was a huge amount of interest. And it's made it possible to open it and to share it with other people.
That must have been a huge injection of lifeblood into the house.
Oh, it was absolutely brilliant.
Rooms were redecorated to fit the film's period, and part of the set still remains as an attraction for the visiting public, with Keira Knightley's bedroom being a favourite. Having spent almost 20 years renovating the house, Caroline still has more work to do, but she isn't deterred. Oh, wow, which room was this?
Well, these are the old kitchens.
But in terms of the future of the hall, what would you do with this room, for example? So you're just sort of keeping it ticking over at the moment
until things either improve or until I can see another way forward. Or maybe, if I'm very lucky, have another film.
Ah, yes. Anyway, thank you so much. I know that you've got lots to do, but it's been a real joy looking around. And lovely as well, not just to see the extraordinary house, but to hear your story.
Well, thank you, and it's been a pleasure showing you around.
I hope Caroline is successful with the renovations at this beautiful house for more people to enjoy, and we wish her all the best. Time now to find out if John and Pauline have come to a decision. I have to say that until this afternoon, I thought property 1 was a dead cert. But it looks like the mystery house may have stolen Pauline's heart, even though John, I think, is still very keen on the first house we showed them down in Ludlow. It'll be interesting to see whether she's using her spreadsheet to persuade him of the error of his ways. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like property number 2 isn't really in the running, so it comes down to property number 1, which you seem to like, and property number 3, the mystery house, which you suddenly seem to find your favourite.
I think you're right in saying that property 2 is out of the running. I think the mystery house, when we discussed it, I think we thought it had everything as a house.
And it would be lovely to be able to lift the mystery house up with its garden and its land and drop it into where the first house was. If we can find some land that we could rent or buy next to property 1, then that would give us everything that we required.
Clearly there's a qualified preference for house number 1. Mm-hmm. The sort of wistful look back north to house number 3. But so what's going to happen next?
We're certainly going to go back and look at property 1 again, because we do really like it, and I think the key thing there is just to see whether if we can get in touch with whoever owns the land around there, and whether they would be willing to either rent us or even sell us a small piece of land.
So if they couldn't get land for property 1, property 3 might become a contender again.
It might be, yeah.
Well, it's been a great joy showing you around, and I hope that we've shown you a bit of Shropshire that you hadn't considered before, and whichever house you choose, that you're very happy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have to say I was surprised. I thought Pauline was going to twist John's arm and make him love house number 3. But in the end, to be fair, she let her head rule her heart, and they went for house number 1. Although it was interesting that they did discover the joys of North Shropshire, and when you look how beautiful the county is, you can understand why. So that's us done for the day, but do join us next time for more Escape to the Country. John and Pauline looked into the possibility of land around the first house near Ludlow, but unfortunately the house went under offer to another buyer. So sadly their Shropshire search continues. It just goes to show that sometimes you have to be quick to clinch that textbook rural escape. If you want to escape to the country in Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland or England and need our help, please apply online at bbc.co.uk/beonashow.
bao lam lũ dù dã rời muộn màu vẫn trọn vẹn tình thương yêu lời nói câu ả ôi trong đêm gọi mưa về. Có những ngày chân lạc bước mải mê, bình yên lắm khi cận kề bên mẹ, đói nũng nịu thì thầm tay thật khẽ, tượng ngực mềm ôi thật nhẹ mùi hương. Kẻ đông sam hoa rực rỡ phố phường, tàu cập bến bao vấn vương chờ đợi, nghe gió thổi biết lạnh kia kịp tới, dáng hao gầy bỗng vùi vợi thêm đau. Mẹ yêu à, con mệt lắm mẹ ơi, mong biến đổi cả bầu trời là mẹ, dốc cuộc sống vào lòng người nặng nhẹ, rộng vòng tay ôm chặt nhé bên đời. Cuộn dâng trào mà nhói dạ chơi vơi, bao lam lũ dù dã rời muộn màu vẫn trọn vẹn tình thương yêu lời nói câu ả ôi trong đêm gọi mưa về. Có những ngày chân lạc bước mải mê, bình yên lắm khi cận kề bên mẹ, đói nũng nịu thì thầm tay thật khẽ, tượng ngực mềm ôi thật nhẹ mùi hương. Kẻ đông sam hoa rực rỡ phố phường, tàu cập bến bao vấn vương chờ đợi, nghe gió thổi biết lạnh kia kịp tới,